I don't like this quote because it's probably the funniest thing anyone said on the podcast all season, and I did not say it. Welcome to the second half of the last episode of the first season of the Media Odyssey podcast. That, as always, is Marion and Ranchet.
And this is Evan Shapiro. Ooh, you're making this hard on everyone. This sentence, I don't know how it came out right. Anyway,
I did, though.
you did. You
I
nailed it.
landed that plane. Okay, thank you. So we're on our last two favorite clips of the first season of the Media Odyssey podcast. And let's start, as always, with Beauty Before Age. You and your favorite. Well, is it your favorite? This is a controversy that you started on the last episode.
Well, favorite because I love live episodes. We were at StreamTV,
All
so
right.
that was really nice. Then the reason why I really like it is, but it challenged me, right? I had a very, set opinion about that company and their endeavors in the ecosystem, and the guy was really good. Like so I'm warming up to his theory.
So, you've shots fired at Trade Desk, which is an interesting choice, putting a target on, well, not my back, because you did it on an episode where when I was on vacation with Alan Woke, which actually still hurts my feelings that you cheated on the pod. But the two of you conspired, or actually compared notes is more accurate, on the idea for Trade Desk launching their own OS. And this is what you said.
I think we had a very eventful 2024, and last but not least, an announcement of a new player coming into that space, and I wrote about it in Streaming Made Easy, and to me it made no sense. To me this ecosystem is so fragmented. But so let's pause maybe for a second on that big news from last year, which is the Trade Desk. First, what's your take on them, coming into that ecosystem, especially, from someone like you who's very acute to advertising and, at technology?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me either, and to be honest, I have yet to meet one person who said like, "Yo, what a great idea." Like,
Yeah.
everybody is equally as baffled.
Yikes. Yikes. It makes
Okay.
sense.
I know. We went quite far on this one, but I think we were, well, both Alan and I were very passionate about that ecosystem.
I
We know a lot
see.
about it, and this was very much a left field, market entry. But it's good. It's good. I mean, he's shaking things up. And what's fascinating is that then we went on stage with him, which was quite funny, actually. I did not expect to be on stage with this guy after I had said that, but it is what it is. And so Matthew Henick from the Trade Desk, who's, in charge of the Ventura OS, then he almost convinced me, I think. And he said this.
Look, we think, based on our business and its strength, that we have a unique position to improve how the money flows through the CTV ecosystem. And we, before we made this commitment, we looked at basically every segment of it. So for OEMs and retailers, the people who are making and selling televisions, this is an incredibly hard standalone business. It's low margin, it's single-digit margins, if not a loss leader. And what we've seen is that in order to make that sustainable, you need to move into an ads business or a content business at the very least. And then when you realize that, you have two choices, really. You have to develop your own in-house OS, which, to your point, is not easy. And not only do you need to develop it, you need to maintain it and work with thousands of publishers and make sure that it's a robust, enjoyable user experience. So you can build your own engineering team and build your own ads team. Or you can mortgage your future to the big tech companies and let them handle it for you. And maybe you get a bounty, and that's pretty much it. So we think there's a better way there, and we think there's a way for us to bring our expertise in software and our expertise in advertising to help OEMs have a better choice than those two. And then we look at advertisers, which are our core clients at the Trade Desk, and they want to spend more in CTV, but they need access to better data, better transparency to feel like they're getting more for their dollars. Publishers want to optimize the monetization of their media, and are increasingly having to pay larger and larger tolls to the platform, either in the form of revenue shares or just inventory shares, where they're handing over their inventory and their content that they paid for, and then that inventory is being represented by multiple partners in the ecosystem, so they're competing against the platforms they have. Also, the publishers are competing against the apps that are now owned by all the big OSs as well. And so if you put all this together, it leads to a slightly, depending on which integration it is, a compromised user experience too, as it relates to discovery, as it relates to recommendations, as it relates to, as a user, trusting 100% of the pixels on your screen, that they're there for you and trying to get you connected to the thing you wanted to watch when you turned on the television, or the thing that you'll discover as you go. And so we think we're one of the only partners who can look at that supply chain from beginning to end and provide a better option.
So did he convince you?
Yeah, I'm almost there. But yeah, he bribed me a little. He brought me a gift. So for those who are just listening in, it's a cup, a tin cup for my coffee that says, and Evan got one too. It made no sense. So the guy, I mean, you need to be extra smart and, super
Self-aware?
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, exactly.
He
Super
is, and
self-aware.
I will say there, if you look at my coverage of StreamTV, which is where we recorded this, and the whole pod is up on our podcast, obviously, but my coverage of it is on my Substack. I posted a bunch of photos from StreamTV, and he photobombed one in the most interesting way.
I saw
He's
that. That
got
was
the best sense of
awesome.
humor.
Yeah,
But
he
it
has a
sneaks up
sense of
on you.
humor.
It's very
Yeah,
dry and very kind of, lurking in the background, and then he shows up with a tin
absolutely.
cup with your quote on it. It was really great. It's very old school talk show, by the way, too. Like very like Johnny Carson meets David Letterman. So
I agree. I agree. I'm seeing him again in September. He's coming to speak at IBC. He'll be on one of my panels.
at your
I will
event,
not say it makes no sense again.
well,
And he
what's the
will.
event you're doing at IBC?
So it's a panel within the IBC 2025 program, and so we're doing, a panel on the living room, essentially, who's trying to control the living room, and he's also going to be he's going to attend my event on September 11th, streaming Made Easy Live. So we'll get people should come over. They'll get to chat with him, and really see for themselves, how good he is at pitching Ventura OS.
That event, streaming made easy live is going to be amazing. So if you're in Amsterdam a day early, go. So my last clip is from my favorite episode of the season, which, by the way, I have to apologize to all my friends who aren't in my favorite episode of the season, including Pedro Pina, who's the head of YouTube EMEA, who we just dropped an episode with, and that episode is absolutely crushing it, including Darman, one of the largest creators on the face of the earth, and one of the only scripted creators out there. That episode just dropped recently, to Matt Risley, who was at Channel 4, but he's no longer there. So fuck that guy. Uh, and that's a
He's not
great
letting me
episode.
do that.
Fuck
Look, look,
that
he's
guy.
he was the
That
first
guy.
one.
He left the television bit. He left television
Yeah,
altogether. He went
yeah,
to
he's going into
theater
the
of all
movie
things,
theater
like
business.
the
Good for
oldest
him.
school entertainment ever. That guy. No, we
Good
wish
for
him the
you.
best, but fuck him. So,
He was the first, huh? You should treat your first nicer.
he was our first guest. I'll never forget
Yeah.
my first time. So, or our first time, I guess it were, which is even grosser. So my favorite episode was with Paul McGrath from CBC, and because it really wraps up everything we're talking about on this podcast all season long. This is a traditional media player who has no choice but to transform themselves, or they will become irrelevant. This is the CBC, the public broadcaster of the Canadian nation. Paul heads audience and other aspects of the CBC business, and was charged with looking at digital distribution for the CBC in the user-centric era. They brought me up to Canada. We had a long conversation with all of the senior management there, and they came to a consensus to try something truly new, which was to treat digital video and social video as an equally important distribution outlet to television and their owned and operated app. And a lot of the things that you thought might happen if you never looked at the data didn't. And a lot of surprising things did. And that's what this clip's about and what the episode's about. So how long have you been in this new mode that you would say leaning into YouTube as a distribution platform?
It started in the spring of 2024. So we're just
A
now
year?
closing off. Yeah, we're just about finishing our first 12 months of this sort of this bet and this new approach.
So let's take a look at the numbers now. When you look at the numbers right now, if I understand this correctly, 20% of your overall content across your 50 channels or so is long form. Would you mean 20 minutes or 30 minutes or longer?
20 minutes.
20 minutes or longer. But of the series and other titles that you've put out there, a lot of it is not just 20 minutes or longer. Some of it's an hour or so, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, our documentary content, for instance, is often going to be an hour, sometimes more. Some of the live stuff, if we're doing, say, a press conference or something from the news division, that will be, could be 40 minutes long, could be longer. So it's a mix.
So of your overall content, and we're talking about probably thousands of hours here, about 20% of it is long form, 20 minutes or longer, but that 20% is 47%, almost half of total usage.
That's right.
So it's punching
Um,
more than 2x above its weight.
Totally. And I was actually surprised to see how large it was, given that, that other 80%, there's a lot of short content in there, less than a minute, maybe less than 2 minutes. And a lot of that content gets millions of views.
Right.
So I had an expectation that at least in aggregate, that would account for a large amount of the total
Not the
watch
case.
time. But I think there's a dynamic here that especially with connected TVs, especially with YouTube's strategy around sort of owning the living room, that long form content is overperforming on the platform right now. I didn't expect it to be to this extent, but it is.
Do you know how much, Paul, how much of your usage is on connected television? Do you get a sense of that?
At the start of the year, it was around 40%, and I think it's been creeping up month by month. So I think it's around 45-50% right now
Oh,
of our watch time is coming from connected TV, and then after that, it breaks down to like mobile and desktop, mobile or computers and everything else.
and that's probably disproportionately the
Yeah.
section that goes to long form. Yeah, this is the rest of the data. So you increase the overall amount of long form content across all those channels 55%, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then total watch time across all those channels went up 65%, so higher than that. But the channels that where you concentrated the library content on are the
Hmm.
entertainment channels and the CBC channel. Is that my understanding correct there?
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, there's two large divisions at CBC. There's an entertainment division and there's the news division. The entertainment division has a number of channels, and those channels were publishing, in some cases, full episodes or compilations or long form content. Most of that catalog, though, that I was talking about, these 50 titles and these 500 hours of content was published just on that single CBC channel, which coincidentally is the one that grew the most of, well, in this graph, but also of many of our channels. So that's where a lot of the long form content was concentrated. I wouldn't say at the same time that it was just because of the full episode
Sure.
content that we saw growth across the board. We increased our publishing volume of shorts and long form and lives and a whole bunch of other things. So as a result, everything went up pretty dramatically, but there definitely is a pattern here of, for creators, for media companies, if you have a library of long form content, you can take advantage of it and kind of surf that wave of growth on YouTube towards long form content.
And crucially, what you found was this was a younger, discrete audience from what had watched this content in other areas on your app or on television. It was a younger by many years than broadcast, and then even a significant amount under streaming as well.
What we did is we took the 50 titles that we had published on YouTube that were also previously published on our streaming service. And then we looked at all of those titles one by one and said, from the date that it was published on YouTube, did it have an impact on engagement and consumption on our streaming service? And then we looked at that on a 30-day window, and we looked at that on a 100-day window. So take all the titles that we published on YouTube, and from the date that they are all published, what was the impact on our streaming service? If the hypothesis is cannibalization, you would expect that when you publish on a different platform like YouTube, it would take away from the consumption you get on your streaming service. The net result that we found from studying that was the opposite. It actually increased the engagement on our streaming service from the date it was published on YouTube.
Wow.
Well,
Not causality, though.
Yeah.
This is
No,
not
a
causality.
So
coincidence. They happen simultaneous, right?
It happened simultaneously. And what we think was happening was that we had windowed the content that we published on YouTube to align to premiere dates on the streaming service, which therefore has a marketing campaign around it. And therefore, we think what happened is we got a lift both on YouTube as well as on the streaming service from publishing in both places.
So probably my favorite quote. So my favorite stat was the 20 minutes. My favorite quote, which I actually interrupt in this episode, so I apologize for that, is about cannibalization in the video and television era between traditional outlets and YouTube when you put the same content on both. And Paul very aptly describes it as the Loch Ness Monster. Everybody talks about it, but no one's ever seen it. And that, to me, his statistical answer to that conundrum that's happening inside every public media company that I've met with over the last couple of years, and his ability to prove it incorrect with his own many platforms, to me, personifies the fear of finding out and the reason to get over it. And that's why it's my favorite episode.
yeah, I have to say I love that episode too, but yeah, we need a different one. So that's okay. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. But Paul is my friend more than yours. He speaks French.
That's true.
Okay, it's hard to choose a favorite quote,
Yeah.
but because you mentioned metaphor with the Loch Ness and Paul,
Okay.
I would say my favorite was with LG during MIP London, and it's the avocado metaphor with Ryan from LG Ads.
2025, I think, is the most exciting year for Europe. I think, the US is a couple, 2-3 years ahead of Europe in terms of fast adoption. There's this kind of really cool poster art which helps me describe this, which is about avocados. You may have seen it, which is like, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. Eat me now, too late. We're in the ripe eat me now stage of fast, both from a content perspective and an advertiser's perspective. And so we're seeing content owners really lean into fast, where maybe they were a bit hesitant. Are they going to put their best content out? Now there's more platforms, there's no new OSs, so they're starting to really look at other content to put out there. From an advertising perspective, they were waiting, where's the scale? Does the ad-funded model work? Is there good measurement, targeting capabilities? That's all in place. Like everything's aligned to be this kind of super ripe, eat me now sort of phase. So I would say, yeah, that this is the most exciting year for CTV and fast from an advertising perspective.
Love it. I'm going to steal this avocado line.
I don't like this quote because it's probably the funniest thing anyone said on the podcast all season, and I did not say it.
It was very funny, and actually now I think that's gonna stick, because he says that after that came out, people were like, "Oh, the avocado, yeah, you're the avocado guy." So I think
That's awesome.
it's very, very funny. But so again, and I think that shows very well what we're trying to do here. It's about
Agreed.
building community, building conversation, and having fun. So I think that's
That's it. It's been great working with you. We were friends before we started this, but I'm really glad we decided to do this. It's been terrific working with you. It's only been educational and fun the whole time. Thank you so much for being such a great partner.
Well, yeah, thank you too. And we got to thank our partners, because this podcast wouldn't be possible without them. And so we've been working with folks at Edgy Ads,
Spectrum Reach,
Swipe Finder,
Merzago,
Bedrock Streaming,
Bango.
and Film Hub. Thank you, guys. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. Thank you.
I want to thank the team, right? Because we have a team helping us
We
do
do?
that. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we want to
I've never
pretend
really met
you're
them. I don't.
Superman and I'm Wonder Woman, whatever. But no, we do have an amazing team, behind. So Paul, Jesse, Taylor, Katerina, Jamie, Jill,
Dariah,
Sophie. Yeah.
Dariah and Sophie.
Daphne on my team. So, it takes a village to do this thing. Like, I mean, this was intense. Like, 30 episode, one a week, you know, without a miss.
Yeah,
It's demanding.
I'm really proud of the season. So thank you
Yeah.
very much. But we are not done by any stretch. Please go back and listen to any of the episodes from season 1 that you may have missed. But season 2 has an amazing lineup already with some spectacular guests with great case studies to share with you, live episodes at MIPCOM and StreamTV Europe, and some fun new formats. We're going to play around with the show and give you some new things to think about in season 2. So please listen to the back episodes, subscribe, come back for season 2. That is the inimitable Marion Ranchet, whose newsletter you should read. It's streaming made easy on Substack.
And that is Evan Shapiro, the one and only, and his newsletter, Media War and Peace, on Substack too.
Thanks so much for listening or watching or whatever you do for season 1. Please come back for season 2. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Have a lovely summer.